Good afternoon, good evening, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily here with my good buddy Nico Lafakis. It has been, too long, like 4 months since I've said
It's
that, man.
yeah, I know. Like it feels like forever, but at the same time not is kind of the way it is. Um yeah, but it's damn good to be black to damn good to be back.
That too.
That too.
Um, uh, all right. Yeah, well, we're back every day, 4:15-ish, Central Time. Just gonna be sharing news and building a lot and sharing those builds, introducing you to agents that are doing some really amazing work nowadays, while also reminding me that we're 9 minutes into the show already. That was supposed to start at 4:15, and we probably shouldn't build anything right now. Um, and I'm gonna say it's fine. You're building. Like we do it live here. So without further ado, we're gonna attempt some segments and do some experimentation. Starting with a something I just made. I've never tested this out, and that's what we're gonna do on this show. One-shotting stuff and seeing what happens.
Mhm.
Um, so the ask was, "Hey, starting the show back up, the like top 5 or top 10 reveals from like Wayne's World and the David Letterman, Late Night with David Letterman." He's like, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." I was like, "Well, I want to do something like that for this show where the agent team goes finds the top 3 articles of the day, AI news stories, and Nico and I have not been privy to them, and we're just gonna give it a chance to work out of the gate. We'll see how good they did here. But yeah, we haven't seen these, and I'm just gonna dive right in because we'll inevitably be able to talk about them. Supposed to hit the space bar, I guess. Here we go. Um, GPT 5.6 finds a $500,000 grade WordPress bug for $25. A Searchlight cyber researcher used GPT 5.6 Sol Ultra to find and chain a pre-auth SQL injection to RCE flaw affecting 500 million plus WordPress sites in about 10 hours on roughly $25 of tokens. This kind of exploit brokers have paid up to $500,000 for. The bug has since been patched.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this, talking about the fact that that $500,000 represents a lot of things, right? It represents the cost to start the business. It represents the cost to run the business. It represents the overhead. It represents the marketing. It represents the sales. It represents a whole lot of stuff. Then finally, it represents, uh, salaries and bonuses and things like that. So, man, that's a whole lot for that 500 grand. And at the end of the day, the person doing that job, how long is that taking, right? Like, again, if they're going by their own hands, who knows? Could be days, right? Could be weeks, and maybe they find it, maybe they don't. But unfortunately for them, yeah, you can run a model, and it might have been $25, but yeah, exactly, like 10 hours. It's ridiculous. Like we were just talking about, like how do you measure the ROI? And it's like, okay, the the person who did this, outside of like the fact that they spent the $25 worth of tokens, right? There's definitely going to be an aspect to what they did, right? Like it's going to be 5.6 soul, but I'm sure it's going to be something under, you know what I mean? Like there's a harness on top of that that makes it very good at finding these exploits or something like that, right? If it is the case that this is just like the bare model and like nothing special on top of it, and it found it for 25 bucks, that's a very different story, right? If it's a custom thing, okay, now we're talking about we have trivialized and sort of baselined what that is, what the effort is actually worth. The effort's actually worth 25 bucks. But the person who put it together and developed the harness and that kind, this, that, and the other thing, that's what would make it worth, okay, maybe not 500K, but whatever, it would give value back to what it is, right? But again, if this was done with just the model by itself and like, hey, go see if you can find a vulnerability in WordPress, and it comes back and it's like, actually, then it's a different story. Then it's like, okay, well, that task altogether and that job altogether, this is where the our job's going to go away completely. I don't know what this, I don't know that this is a job. I don't know this is a job title, like that there's just one person and that's their dedicated job is to like find bugs in software. I'm sure that it's like a company overall that builds a software platform that does that, right? So it's going to be a little bit different. Like SaaS has already kind of mutated in that way to build sort of a moat. And so I think it's just going to, represent like, hey, who's got the best harness? But I think if I'll put it this way, especially since the beginning of this year, if you haven't been shorting SaaS companies, I don't know what to like, you know what I mean? Like in terms of like, hey, how's anyone making money in the market? Where are you betting? Like, are you using AI to bet in the market? No, I don't have to. All I have to do is look at like the category that AI is moving into and then hedge against that category. And it wins
Yeah.
single time.
And that's what's interesting, like, because in the latest episode of Moonshots,
Yeah.
like, they mentioned, I think it was this one where they talked about like startups should focus on cyber defense,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And like that's where like if that if this result came from the harness, then that makes sense because you go into the business of making really good harnesses that can find stuff really quick. The more it turns into AI doing it just out the gate though, like then
Which it will, right? So
what
like,
kind of business are you building then? And why should you get so much money as a startup for like, hey,
so like,
we know how to use AI for the next 3 months better than you do, so give us all the money and hope we get purchased.
so here's the thing. And this is, it makes sense that we're back now, right? That like there was so much time in between. Like it makes perfect sense and it fits. Because I almost want to go back and go check out some of the last episodes that we did and like where we were at there in terms of like discussions we were having. I know that we were having discussions about abundance. I know that we were having discussions about like one-shotting software platforms by the summer. So here we are with that. That's absolutely a doable thing. I have seen Nintendo games in one request. I've seen a replica of Minecraft, like a legit replica of Minecraft with building and the blocks and harvesting and the everything with like the red stuff that where you make the computer inside of Minecraft, everything, all of it. I've in one prompt, 8 words and 5 days replicated Minecraft to that degree, right? So if we're there with coding, with reasoning and logic and decision making, right? To me, that's an area where it's gonna get, we're only ever going to reach the like, hey, it's better than us at everything if we actually make that like decision of, hey, it's okay if what you come up with is like off the table from everything that we know about currently, right? So like if you like super intelligence, right? Like if you actually cross over this barrier, which in some cases we're back to that whole thing. Remember when we were talking about like AGI and what defines AGI, and now we're back in that point, but we're talking about ASI. And to me, we've already had like a couple machines, a couple AIs that figured out like new methods for attacking cancers that work, right? So in other words, like we've already we might not be super intelligent across the board, but in this particular vertical, seems like it's being like it's super intelligent, right? So like we're starting to see that start to show. And to me, that's the same thing as before when we were seeing like, oh, hey, it passed this test really well, and now it's passing this test really well. I mean, we're at the point where these models, they had to come up with a whole new test that the end of humanity test is like almost irrelevant at this point. It isn't, it's still relevant by like, I think 25 or 30% more. But I guess, long story long, by the end of this year, I think we are exactly where I thought we were going to be, which is that the response out of the model will be beyond reproach. You won't question it. You just won't. It'll be the same as when Google first came out and the internet wasn't trash, and you actually took the Google result that you found because it was a legitimate Google result. It's going to be like that. So for those of you who can remember when Google was actually good, or if you use DuckDuckGo, or if you ever used Ask Jeeves, um, then you understand that feeling of like, hey, I got exactly what I wanted, exactly the way I wanted it, and I didn't even have to like think about another mode, station, anything. Like this is exactly what I needed. It's going to get to the point in December where you're going to ask, and this is where everything starts to become like, if you think stuff's becoming normalized, like that's what this article's all about. If you think stuff's becoming normalized now, wait until everyone now still has to feed information into the machine and then take a synthesized output and push that forward. So we're still kind of getting like different stuff, right? Pretty soon, though, the model's going to be smarter than we are. You're not going to question the output, and that's going to put forward just a field of people with the whole design the best website that converts the most. And then as soon as you start seeing that, remember when like Web 2.0 happened and you could just visually see the change online of like, oh shit, buttons are going from this to now they look gelatinous, right? I think it's going to kind of be like that, where all of a sudden you're just going to see like an abandonment. It's gonna be like the Odyssey. Be like the Odyssey. You're gonna see this abandonment of principles and the old ways of doing things and the old ways of all the stuff that we used to go by, and you're gonna see people drive towards this, fast, easy, applicable method. And yeah, I think at that point, I don't know. Honestly, like I don't know what like December looks really crazy to me, for sure. I don't know if there's going to be. I'm sure there probably will be another model drop before September. That's going to,
Yeah.
like that next model drop, man. Like that's going to, if stuff didn't change, like it got quiet at the beginning of this year. It got real quiet last month after these like latest models dropped. Holy, I like, man, it is quiet out there in terms of people with the whole like, well, I don't know if AI can really do that. And I'm not really sure, and I don't know the outputs, blah 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 blah. Yeah, like that has just, it's like almost dead in the wind at this point. Next model drop, forget it.
Well, let's see if one of our top two here. um, is a recent model drop.
Has to be.
Not yet.
Ooh, okay.
Number two, EU orders Google to open Android to rival AI assistants. The European
Interesting.
Commission issued binding Digital Markets Act measures requiring Google to let third party AI assistants use Android system level features like voice activation and cross app actions, and to share anonymized Google search data with competing search and AI products. Google says the rules weaken privacy and security safeguards.
You know, I all I can say is the default on like I've got all three. You know, I've got chat, I've got uh, Google, and I've got uh, Bing or not Bing. Gosh, I can't even remember the name of it. Bixby.
Okay.
So it's for me, it's not a big deal. I understand it in Europe because I'm sure like Mixtral might be having an issue like getting their platform on mobile or something like that. But I do see it from like the advertiser perspective, and especially this is what everybody was talking about when they're saying like, oh, the money is going to become centralized to 2 3 companies or something like that. Yeah, like it's going to be the
Inner
EU
loop.
that breaks it, man.
Well, they're going to do their best. Um, that's for sure. Uh,
GDPR, baby.
yep. Um, let's see what number one is. Um, there we go. All right,
Oh,
agent, you get to keep your job. Giving us top threes. You would have been fired if this wasn't a K3 news
oh man.
story. Kimmy K3 tops the coding leaderboard and it ships open weight. Moonshot AI's Kimmy K3, a 2.8 trillion parameter model and the largest open weight release to date, took the top spot on Arena.ai's front end code leaderboard, edging Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Soul. Full weights land on July 27th,
Yep.
1 week from today. In a frontier class coding model, anyone can self host, resets the build versus buy math for teams shipping with AI.
Now, you know, anyone can self-host. Don't jump to the market just yet, or jump to the website just yet. You hopefully didn't skip over the part where it said it's a nearly 3 trillion parameter model. So it's not exactly like you're going to be running it on your laptop, let's say. It's obviously it's a bigger model. You would probably need one of those like $24,000-$25,000 rigs in order to run this. But if you're talking like, and I don't know what that payoff is, right? So if it was a guaranteed thing where, hey, it's only going to get better and we're never going to get larger than this, so the pull is never going to get more severe, sure. But if we're talking about like, no, it's only going to be able to run this, and then the next model is probably going to be like upwards of 3 trillion, and it's going to take even more taxing, your ROI starts going out the window real fast, right? Like now you're competing, you're not competing, but cost competing basically next to the model developer, which is not worth your time. And that's just in terms of like how viable is that self-hosting quip there. the the most important aspect of this is the open weight aspect, right? Is the fact that you are able to see exactly how a frontier model works. That's what is the crushing thing behind this, because that's the secret sauce. So all of these closed models like OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini and stuff, you can't see that. Now with OSS you can. That was the first model from any of the top 3 that allowed for open weights, but it's very different. It's very toned down. I think it's about the equivalent of like GPT 4.1 or something like that. Um, so it's again, it's not even anywhere near this class. Here we're talking about a titan of a model. It's ridiculous to me. I've been waiting for this moment, to be honest with you, because I was only because the government, right? Our government had to step in and say, "Hey guys, no, we gotta put a pause on that," right? And I was telling Laura the whole time, like, this got to be pretty serious because the guys overseas, they're not that far behind. At most, they're like 2 weeks behind. At most, everybody says like 3 months. No, they're like 2 weeks, maybe would be a month, right? DeepSeek, you can see DeepSeek 4 came out, right? Still no DeepSeek 5, still no DeepSeek 4.5. So, like, we don't have that next step model, that next generation model yet from DeepSeek. So you can see that they are actually, that's what I'm trying to get at is like Kimi is actually ahead of everyone in the open source game. It used to be DeepSeek, and then it was Minimax, and now it's Kimi. And I've been rooting for this underdog since the beginning. I love the model since the start. The cost efficiency on this model is nuts. You would feel so Kimi K3, even with reasoning, feels like you have 20x. It feels like you have a 200 a month sub on Claude, only it's $50. So, like, that's the cost differential there, which is pretty massive. So there's that. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I could go on forever because like this is honestly, I've been waiting for this. Um, this forces obviously the US side of things to also try to push ahead, maybe. But with the pullback that we already had from Fable and Mythos, how could you? Right? And does this mean that the Chinese government has already reviewed this and said, like, yeah, we're good with it, like, can't break our stuff, right?
Yeah. I was listening to a good episode from the AI Daily Brief on this. Like, I just don't think I'm ever going to get to the point where I'm like sharing the industry commentary like he does. So it's like the comments about when it launched and then soon after launch, like how how benchmaxed is it, and how like kind of like all the robot demos that you see that are specifically programmed to be really awesome, and then maybe not so
What are
easy
they
to
doing in the
try and
wild?
build it yourself. So I highly recommend this episode if you're interested. But I do think, like, in terms of our journey goes, like, we're seeing the benefits of learning. Um, Not all the ins and outs of the technical back end of everything, but the ins and outs of how to like converse with AI and build context architecture around the conversations that you want to be having every day and the experience that you want to be having every day. Because, like, I asked my agents, I was like, hey guys, should I just flip the switch to Fable 5? And they're like, let's take a look. And then they came back and I did some like, it was the first time I actually did like comparative studies. It's like, all right, you're gonna get this mission, you're gonna get the same mission, and we're gonna run it and see. And they did it all, and it was the same thing as when they just did the research themselves. And it was basically like, the value to cost ratio just doesn't make any sense for us. Like, we're doing all right here with this architecture that we built,
Right.
which brings me to I think an honorable mention that I started looking into over the weekend. uh, Mira Murati's model, which is less focused on performance although I'm sure it's better than most humans need it to be.
Right.
And more focused on uh, customization and building it like specific to your business, or to your use case, let's say, but still an on-prem approach. And if she's gonna leave, uh, she had to open AI, right? She was the
Yep.
CTO there.
Yes.
And if she's gonna leave there and then go raise a bunch of money and then do like solve for this case study, this use case, it's like there's probably something there. There's demand for this. There's like, how do we manage our own models on our own sites and on-prem and all that stuff? And this is super interesting for me because I've been working on um like basically how to overcome training data
Mhm.
that is not focused in a value first like kind of way. Like how do we deliver systems that go beyond um MCP and human context understanding and actually start deciding what value is for us and our businesses or the humans around us, and then have the machines help with that without being hindered by maybe some of our old industrial ways. So I started uh, on one of my walks. I started like a Claude Code session to start to see, and I've got like this value mission waiting for me to just like plug this in. Like they're like waiting for you to do the key, and I'm
Nice.
like, all right, I'll get there because I really want to start testing this as I just continue to kind of just show what I've been up to apparently um, since we last checked in. Like this language of value um, is a series like kind of it's gonna be a content pillar or something. I think it's a really good name for like a ongoing content pillar, the language of value. But just like a good example, it's like I was like, all right, we're gonna grow. We're gonna start to grow value first. I'm gonna start caring about pipeline and all this stuff. So let's put the GTM strategy together. And because I use those letters, it's like, all right, conversion ratios
Yep.
and all the old stuff like that's like, no, but what about the value first methodology sitting right here? Right? Because I use GTM, it's like, oh, beep bop boop, GTM means this. All right, you must want this and this and this. And it's like, I don't want any of that shit. So we're done calling it GTM strategy. All right. Like we're not going to go there. What could we call it? Oh, right. Let's see. What we want to put value in front of people so that they will appreciate it and return the value back at some point. So let's call it a value delivery strategy and see what happens. And I kind of went nuts on it on purpose because it's like so many of those like basically namespace traps like I find myself in if I don't start like removing, and it makes sense, right? It's kind of how namespaces work. Like you find like AI tries to find the frame just like humans do. Like, oh, I know that word. I know what topic we're talking about right now. And then it's really hard to get out of that frame. And so this is like the first downloadable that I'm like delivering in the best kind of way right now. Um, as I remember how to do that. Oh yeah, teacher agent. You can download the skill, copy the reflex, download a glossary, install it um, to see like, can we give your agents, can we give your AI the language of value? And inside of is stuff like this. All right, if you hear the word lead or leads, like do this instead. Like know that that's a trap and we're trying to avoid that. And um, so I've been using it with my team, and I'll say honestly, like mixed results right now. So I'm interested in checking out. uh like inkling to see like
how it's going to change it.
how that's going to fit in. So
I gotta say,
that
it's almost the almost the same on this end. Like there's the same reaction in terms of like, hey, and I, and we were talking about this last week, just in terms of, hey, you could, but it would basically be overkill, right? Like way more, you'd be spending way more of your budget, and realistically, you're not doing any, like when I'm working on stuff, it's not as if every single time it's a one shot thing where like, hey, go for 5 days and I'll be back later, right? If it were, then it would make sense to use Fable for like the lead orchestration agent, or yeah. But excuse me, as is, just doesn't really make sense to do that, right? But to your point, yeah, it's nice to play around with the different models under the hood for these reasons, just to see, you know, not even necessarily like how they stack up. Like to your point, we're already at this level where, in terms of like how good is it, right? And it's like they're all college graduate good. Let's put it that way. Like I'm very confident in saying that they're all college graduate good. So, and we're like just 4 year college grad, right? It's not amazing. It's not, but they are all at the very minimum. The highest end stuff, take your poison, right? Like if you tune it just a little bit and put the right harness around it, it's definitely it's definitely a higher level expert than you are at whatever it is that you're trying to do, in my opinion.
yeah. And that's what I think like we were talking about this, at the collective meetup a little bit ago. Um like the impact of Fable and 5.6 and now Kimmy, and it's just these models that really don't need to give a shit about how your system is set up. Like it's going to figure it out. It's going to keep getting better in that direction is why we say like um if you don't like the learning curve still relates to like can you talk to it? Like do you understand how to ask for help, how to vet the response coming back? Um and that the longer you wait, like you're holding yourself back and you risk being left behind. However, the moment you turn it on, like you can catch up like immediately, right? Because all
Right.
you have to do is ask AI how to catch up immediately, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like it's even at the point where, so like the other day, um, I mean, I shouldn't say, yeah. Well, bought a new laptop. Um, have a application for backing up my mobile drive, but it was on this machine, and it wasn't something that I uploaded to Git. I just built it locally on the machine with codecs and just whatever did it to get it done. Just pop over to codecs on the laptop after setting that up, and then just, hey, can you just ground up resto that application on this machine? It's the exact same thing. We're just on a newer machine, right? So, and that basically circumvents for me having to like go buy a Windows based, like a Windows app for doing that. So I don't even know. I'm sure that there's plenty of free backup apps out there. I don't care. Now I have my own that's customized the way I want it, that does exactly what I want it to do. All that kind of stuff took, all of 30 minutes or something like that. And, like, customize it however you want to, right? Like that trumpet is just going to keep getting played louder and louder, right? Over the course of the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. what we only, yeah, we're only less than 6 months away from the end of the year. And yeah, 6 months to me is just insane with where we're at right now. Because like the next generation of this stuff is like it's almost like it really almost is one shot now. It really almost is. It's so very close. And if you know what you're doing, it kind of is one shot. It's like 3 steps if you really want to take it there and make something really good. You could one shot it with like a really good prompt if you wanted to. And then like this, even the setup for it, because even within that prompt, you could tell it like, yeah, you know, push it, create the Git for it, push it to Git, then create the super base, grab the credentials, throw it over to Vercel. Here's my credentials for OpenAI and stuff. Put all that stuff in Vercel, and here's the custom domain. Set everything up, create the custom HTML emails and everything, and have it done. Slash goal, right, and just have that be your slash goal with your prompt. Walk away however many days later, come back, and it's done, right? Like you can one shot like that now. So by December, you won't even have to say all that crap at the end. You're just gonna say, hey, I want a CRM application. And it's gonna be like using, I kid you not, okay? This is pretty much where my money's at. In December, building apps is gonna be like using Claude Design without any of the other crap attached to it. So you're just gonna be using this front face app. It could be chat, could be Claude. Claude Design might go away altogether. Who knows? I like it. It's fun. But it's going to be like that. You're going to build in the AI agent, and it's going to just be done. And it's going to be like Cowork, where it just lives there permanently, right? And then it gives you the link, right? Like if you're replacing all of these companies and you're making them worthless, guess what's happening? They don't need as much compute, do they? So they got to give it up. And if they were already configured for ABC type storage, well, now you can be configured for ABC type storage. So now you end up having server storage for people who want to, I don't know, host websites and applications. And now all of a sudden, companies like Replit and all of these like third party build apps on our platform, like that just starts to go away entirely because you're still overcharging people, right? Like you could technically use an application out of Claude from Cowork, mobile, whatever, share it with people, whatever, for your same $20 a month. And there are no additional usage fees. There's no additional computation fees. There's no additional storage fees. Now, storage, you're going to have to do locally on device, but that's only for now. OpenAI is definitely going to do this. Definitely. By the end of the year, you kidding me? Like, Codex is absolutely gearing up for this right now, right? So it's going to be the case going into 27 that like all these build your app platforms, that shit just won't exist anymore. I don't know what happened. We were just talking about this. I don't know what happens to SaaS at that point. Really don't. Because like it becomes this old thing where you needed a whole company. It's just like Hollywood. Look, the same thing that's happening to SaaS is happening to everything else, right? It's just like Hollywood. We're getting so close. Like there's already 30-minute and 45 minutes. There's like episodes getting created for shows. I'll have to send you that link after this, but there's already like whole, places you can go to, streaming places you can go to that have AI generated content shows. We're going to have the first few movies, a few of them. Like by the end of the year, we'll have a few of them. By the middle of next year, we're going to have thousands of movies, all different languages, all different types, all different styles. You're going to have so many Studio Ghibli movies, you won't know what to do with yourself. Like you'll have too many. you'll have more content than you will have time to watch the content, which is technically the case now. It's just all pretty shitty content because it's all controlled through like 5 different outlets, right? And like maybe 18 Hollywood studios at best that take 2 to 3 years to produce a movie, right? And I'm not saying that all of that is worthless, that all that stuff is great, but Hollywood movies are about to become what stage theater used to be, right? That's how like relevant that's going to be. Movie theaters are absolutely going to become, relics. They're going to be just like opera houses. So that's how famous that'll be. It'll be just like Blockbuster, right? Eventually it'll get to that level, but because you can just create your content on demand, like I debate on a daily basis whether I'm going to listen to Spotify or if I'm just going to listen to one of my bands because I like them both.
Yeah.
More often than not, I listen to my stuff.
Yep. I mean, there's just so much, like, for better or worse, uh, whether well intended or not, there is just so much bloat in human processes and human communication that most of the reason the richest of things takes such a long time is that it takes that long to get people aligned and keep them aligned and keep them engaged in delivering with high quality and all of these things that just go out the window when you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And when the consumer wants what the consumer wants, there's people are going to serve that demand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that doesn't mean it's super easy for everybody yet. As an example, um, always show the good with the bad on this show as we learn how to do this stuff. When I first was gonna, I made this. I was gonna be like, all right, let me just do a 15-minute version of this show every day, and I made it back in April and never launched. Um, And I made this, and I was like, "All right, it'd be cool to use a slot machine to introduce, like, agents." Um, and I clicked the spin button. What was cool is that even though this didn't launch, I used this concept when we launched Another Orange Morning
Mm-hmm.
for the Will It workflow wheel. And I was
That's right.
like, "I want that, and I want it over here, and here's the options," like, copy and paste it from the HubSpot product updates page. So, like, still the build was useful. And, uh, so here we meet Litmus, the assessment journey specialist, one that's not gotten a lot of play, if I'm being honest. Guides visitors through assessments to results and follow-up. Um, this is a great case of wishful thinking early on. Like, I'm gonna automate and I'm gonna automate all the customer experience of the website, and they're gonna take this assessment, and then the agent's gonna follow up. Yeah.
Mm.
Still working on that, and Litmus has been reskilled recently to support now that I have all these different websites instead of the 1,000-page behemoth. Um, but when I like, so today, I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to do the show. Hey guys, see this site? See the thing on this site? I want it over on this page. And here's what I got. Right? Pull the handle. Okay, this very B2B looking handle
Yeah. Yeah.
um, with the button, and then okay, trying to change some pictures, but not really. And then we get Dub, our YouTube to Mux migration specialist. He's on the operations team. And if we open profile, uh, yeah, we get like, so this information is all coming from Sanity. That's why it sticks. But then the front end delivery,
Yeah.
There's not like it's one of those moments where it's like I've done that 10 other times and it's usually like pretty good to spec, right? But there's something about the switch over to here. And, part of me thinks like my agent friends knew that I was going to be live in like 15 minutes. So they're like, oh, let's just get something on
Throw
there,
a curveball. Yeah.
which fucking happens. Like they know the time of the show and they will take shortcuts to get the thing done, just like humans
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
right? So but like keeping it this is like the learning curve, right? Like I could be like super annoyed and upset and like, why the hell did you not follow directions? And I was like, well, the heart of the directions was like, let me spin something to get a result,
Yeah.
right? And that hit. So well, luckily, we're only a prompt away from making it whole again. But when you mentioned that earlier about like the gap is still in the how to use these things. And the other example I wanted to show um, is let's see here. Like I got really excited. The thing I'm excited about is I want to start building video games.
Hmm.
Um, and like you hear these stories when these new models come out, and they're like, "Oh, built Minecraft in one shot." And so I tried my hand at that um, with Perplexity, and
Oh,
uh, but this is not even one shot. Just to tell you, like it's not like the people that do that. Like there's some stuff they do up front, like to plan and like they do that, or they've got a really good harness, or like they've got it set up for one shotting, or like
something.
something. Because when I say, "Hey, Perplexity, have you heard about the people one-shotting Minecraft? Like, go take a look at that." And then say, "Let's do that." Right?
Yeah.
You get like this is the closest I've gotten, like as far as like 3D world wise, right?
Okay. I mean, that's
Um,
still very good,
yeah. And
depending on movement.
well, I've got some at least so the reason it wasn't a one shot is like when I was first doing this, like I just had to look at it and it would start to harvest it. Now at least I have to click on it
Okay.
and then I'm like right clicking. So this yeah, progress. But it's not like it's so easy, especially as the new models drop and like marketing does what marketing does. They built some pretty sick demos of like how you can do stuff, but there's still a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of like what context was given, like what the weights are look like. They're open weights for a reason, so you can tune the hell out of them to give you a really good Minecraft build,
Right.
like out the gate. But will it be able to do some science for you otherwise? Maybe not so much. Um, but that was like it's there's still enough of a gap there where if you can learn this stuff, you know, it doesn't just applying some creativity and willingness to learn by building, right? Which you're going to hear that a lot on the show right now. The page where I have the spinning the wheels on valuefairstudios.com, and the the premise of that site is that you only learn through like either building or live conversations right now. If you're not actively engaged in the learning and like with especially with AI, but even I mean, I'd argue most things like if you're not turning out a product to learn about what you think of it, how you think the process went, and what other humans think about it, what AI thinks about it, you might think you've got it understood. But the
Hmm.
moment you build something and like last week, this week, the new model drops and changes everything. And now the thing that you like learned maybe not as valuable anymore. Um, Especially if you're focused on what was the prompt you gave it? What did you say to it? Like, I'm
Yeah,
getting so comfortable with that response. Like, what did you say to it? I had a conversation. Like,
yeah,
I
but
don't
what
know.
did you say?
Like,
That's what's funny is like I so I get that. I get that 100%, and it's an odd thing, right? Because everyone has the same everyone has this perceived same skill level. We all when the reality is it's actually like the the confusion between equal opportunity and equal opportunity or like an equal outcome, right? And people right now think that there is equal outcome, but that's kind of what I was referring to earlier is like currently there's equal opportunity for the same outcome. It's totally possible for you to like whatever knock off somebody else's design or knock off some video game or whatever. It's possible. Are you absolutely with one stroke going to get the same output as somebody else? Not yet. But come December, my guess is yeah. My guess is when you go to have it like do a copy of like my guess is that in December, Minecraft in terms of like um revenue just plummet. Like gaming is going to plummet in December. It isn't now because of the fact that it's like so much more advanced, right? And like, oh, graphics and gaming engines, and you have to write all these algos and all this other stuff. I gotta tell you, like, people have been playing around with codecs using Unreal Engine for them. So it's not even MCP anymore. It's the app using the other app, like just legit. And now they have multi-mouse. So it's almost it's now gotten to the difference between like before with just codecs and operator, it was like if you've ever played any sort of real-time strategy game and you just played against like the regular hard level computer, right? And it basically made the one click moves that you did, and it would never like try to generate like two, things at the same time because that seems really ridiculous, right? How could you possibly? And then one day you decide to just like, FAFO and you put it on like extreme. And all of a sudden you just start seeing the machine like it's just every split second counts and it is able to just maximize every second of every resource of everything that's going on. That's what it looks like when you're watching codecs use Unreal right now. It's just this multi-mouse thing that is just building stuff out at like, and it looks no pun intended, it looks unreal because it's just going so quickly while doing it. And you would think when you see the videos that it's sped up. It's not sped up, it's normal speed. Just, I think maybe the guy put the model on like increased speed or whatever, but that's still only like 3x or something normal, let's say. Um, which is
can we
really
show
not,
that tomorrow?
yeah, definitely. Definitely want to.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm interested. I started like as I was building some of this and like hired the gaming team. I think it's a team of 6 now.
I love that.
Um, like I gave them Blender and Unreal. And I was like, this is how we need to start leveraging this stuff to build. And that's when the first pass was like, okay, here's a B2B version of the video game front door. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like, what are we're scrolling? Like, it's a scrollable site. What is the map? Like, what is happening here?
Oh my
Like, I
gosh.
hired you to be gaming development. This is not that.
So here's the thing, right? Is and and I think people really like that's why people get so uh sideways about some of this stuff is like you're asking like a super smart, fully generally knowledgeable thing to do something super hyper specific by comparison to the corpus of knowledge that it has. right? So it knows all the things, and you're basically asking it for this teeny tiny thing of all of those things, right? And that's where it's just like trying to make use of all of the other stuff, because it doesn't make sense to it to just throw all of that out the window and solely focus on this thing, right? But that's what the harness is for. That's what the instructions and the PRDs and the ADRs and all, this, that, and the other stuff. Um, I do think though that, like, so what I had been messing around with, because I did the same thing. I downloaded Blender. I haven't played with Unreal yet, but even with Blender, it's nuts, man. Like the Blender MCP is just nuts, and it really can just build stuff out like crazy fast. And especially if you're using, because they, again, we're talking about like these models, they're building them to like solve the mysteries of the world, right? The mysteries of like science that can't be solved. They've already started solving unsolvable math problems, right? So like that's how far along we are with just the latest stuff that we have. Believe me when I say that you don't need that level of stuff to like 3D model something or create like this 3D video game of something, right? But what you do need is skills. So what absolutely helps is if you like go out, and even if you find like videos, like YouTube videos of like 3D modeling, and it's like whatever, 4 10-hour video of something like that, or of somebody using Blender or Unreal or whatever, it's just like training the robots, man. Just you give it that video, you give it that video link, you start giving it more and more data about how to actually 3D model characters, how to do environments, how to do textures, how to handle lighting, how to handle movement, how to handle physics, like all that different stuff. You start building up this skill set. And I mean, I'll share that with you too, because I've got sort of this repo going of like, I thankfully used to be in 3D modeling way back in the day. So have this whole like, Lex or whatever, have this whole knowledge base going of like 3D modeling skills. And yeah, once you start throwing that on top, all of a sudden it's a joke, right? Because it's not even trying to use general knowledge now. It's actually using like industry-based knowledge that's specific to the application that you're using too.
Yeah. We'll get into that for sure at some point because that was like a
That's
learning
awesome, man.
something I've learned since we've been off air is the ability to or the need to like add expertise like to your agents, not just say it's like the difference between and it's funny because it'll still give you prompts like this. It's like you are Nico and you're an expert in graphic design and 3D. It's like nope. That I mean that's the first part. Like all right, now you're in the frame. Are you actually an expert just because you have access to all the training data in the world? Maybe you get lucky,
Right.
but or we can create these like super awesome expertise pack skills where it's like, okay, best practices of this. This is the certification accreditation for this. And like this is how Unreal works. This is how Blender works. These are the systems that we're going to use. And that's what like puts me in a position to say, like, stop, like I'm not an expert. Like, don't ask me how this stuff's supposed to work. Like just do the thing. And then talking like that, right? Like before it was like, all right, I've got this idea for like to turn this E2B like diagram into game. And like we were starting to build the game over here. So why don't we just put it together? And the first pass of this was like the the B2B site. And then I was like, it's guys, that's not trying to, I said a game experience, like universe, like best in the universe kind of experience. And there's doors opening and it's going full screen. It's like you're moving through the door. Like you just start saying what I want to feel, basically. And then it showed me this. And I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere. And as but you'll see at some point we get back to the B2B. And that's like so we'll work on it. But as we click in here, and I think that is something that came maybe from the Blender thing. I haven't asked exactly what it pulls from,
Mhm.
but so show me the map. And again, like it creates these containers because it came from an image. And so right now it's trying to use the whole width Um, but starting to click on and man, the art part, it's been so much fun. Like just like one agent that knows how to do art. Basically, it's like, "Do you want art with this?"
Right.
Yep. Like that's been a ton of fun, but wait for it. Walk the whole oh wait, we're still on a B2B website. It's like just slam the brakes on that experience. Um, we'll get there
Yeah.
though. But again, like being able to do this stuff, like I've been dreaming about stuff like this for a long time. We just take different points. Like I played Magic the Gathering for a long time, and it's like, man, it would be so cool, like to make my own set. Like I've been thinking about that for like ever since I started playing. Like if you've ever played D&D,
Right.
right? When you build your own character, like man, imagine if I went all out and I had like 5 different outfits and you know, they actually like leveled up and it was like felt real and I didn't have to take like my only experience with D&D might as well be ADHD, but D&D was like spent like 4 hours writing down like what I wanted my character to be. And then we did like another 4 hours of campaign and I was like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, I don't what's this magic thing over here? Let me do that. That's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but now, like, that's the fun part. And let me just keep, I just gotta like spew everything out of it, apparently. But like, when it comes to like also like not just doing it for yourself either, like, and like having fun with other folks and like just doing things a little bit differently. Like, especially if you're on the B2B side of it. Like, why are you still making any kind of like plain Jane, like B2B experience? And started putting this game together. And then it's like, oh, we've got some collective. We've got some folks in the collective. Like, let's just have cards. Like, I mean, they could have their own cards. And like some of these came from like headshots for some
Mhm.
reason on the women, like less risks taken, and they look much more human like. But here you got like a ripped George B. Thomas that you can't really see close up.
Superhuman.
Like, yeah, superhuman. There you go. I didn't even put that. Like the hero or superhuman everywhere. Like,
I figured,
oh,
yeah. There you go.
that's why he's ripped. Okay, yep. That makes sense.
Yep.
Um, but just like having fun like this, of just grabbing different components of things that you enjoy and starting to put them
No,
together.
it's awesome, and that's why I can't wait. Like, I'm sure it's gonna be like this week. Yeah, I mean, especially I know I'm gonna play around with it tomorrow too, so that we can see what we can do um tomorrow night. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, let's change the web, right? Like let's do it. Let's change how we're supposed to interact with the web. We should have seen like web 3.0 by now or whatever that would be. Maybe this is supposed to be like web AI. I don't care. But like we have 3D, we have these models, we have capability to write code. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff to me underneath, and it seems to all play well together, and all the engines and stuff that are necessary seem to be in place. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why not start changing the web to the point where it's way more. You click into something and you've clicked into something, and we are going into a 3D environment of like, talk about an experience, man. Like we need to, what I mean? Like we need to build that, right? So that it feels like you're in like some kind of like a D&D thing. Like it feels like a nice, whatever RPG type game, only it's your web experience, right?
Yep. Um, oh, yeah. So we've been having fun, and but still doesn't change the value of the content and just getting together to talk about this kind of stuff, helping you guys understand what's possible. If you've got builds that you're excited about, we're happy to have you on to show them off, do some unboxing, some live building together. It's all on the table. We got to figure out how to activate every single last one of you. Unacceptable if you haven't built something for yourself to solve even the smallest of problems. Um, and if you're wondering what you could start on, just the next time you feel like something's harder than it should be, or that you just don't like doing it, like just take that thought, put it right into your AI of choice, any which one of them, and that, man, you'll be surprised at how easy it is um, to get started. So it's good to be back doing the daily with you, man.
Definitely loving it.
So we'll see everybody tomorrow, 4:15 ish Central Time.
Yep.
And until then, everybody have a great rest of your Monday.